So Ryohei went to this nightclub in search of an eternally youthful singer. And he ran into Josie there. Why would Yayoi have this book? Oh, Yoko! How is Yoi doing now?
Ah, the smell of incense. That's from me. We light it in memory of Miyuki, Ryoi's first wife.
Eiichi's mother.
Yes. They lost her to cancer. That book looks pretty old.
It was in Yayoi's room. Have you heard anything about it? It might shed some light on what she was thinking.
I've never seen it before. But the Scarlet Chameleon nightclub, that sure does take me back.
You've heard of it?
The club closed when the bubble burst, then reopened as a theater. I've performed there back when I was acting.
You were an actress?
Yes, under the name Kyo.
Kyo?
It's a play on my name. I rearranged the letters in Yoko and got Kyo. Nothing ever came of it, but that was how I met Ryoi.
So Ryohei went back to that place after the murder. How long ago was this?
Around 10 years ago, I think. Age was catching up, I guess. I just didn't have the energy for it anymore, so I decided to retire.
He was there in the audience at my final performance.
And do you know what he said to me? It is such a shame. You've honed your craft. I was sure you'd get your big break. Cherry blossoms are beautiful even when they fall, but not just in full bloom.
Even when they fall.
So I ended up leaving the stage for good, but I've found happiness with Ryoi.
Did you know the Shijima family was researching ways to stop aging?
Of course not. I didn't find out until we were married, and I couldn't care less about it.
You didn't think that it might help you stay young forever?
Many people fear growing old when they are young. I know I did. But as I got older, I started to see that it's not so bad. Actually, the years give you more to see and discover. That was another thing I learned from him.
Did you hear us talking?
When my father wanted to spend the rest of his life with her. I think I understand now. Well, how was the book? Find anything useful?
There was a section where Ryoi talks about agelessness and the Tokijiku. He makes it sound like a fairy tale, though.
So he does know after all, and he's been keeping it from us.
Also, something occurred to me just now while I was talking with Yoko.
What is it?
Give me some time to think. Here. Try reading this. Just the ending is fine.
All right.
This book was very important to Yayoi. I think her secret may be hidden inside it. Must be who Yayoi really is. Done?
Yeah. Skim the important parts anyway.
The main character, Io. She's Yayoi, isn't she?
That would make Io's diva. The important person she lost 50 years ago. Because of that detective.
Yes. 50 years after he forced her beloved eternal diva off the stage forever, Yayoi finally got her revenge. Reading this account over and over again must have fueled her hatred for him.
She waited 50 years for her revenge?
Yes. The target of Yayoi's revenge was at the club that night. I'll bet Yayoi took revenge on Josie Kusaka. Detective Josie also appears in that story set 100 years ago in the Taisho era. Assuming the Taisho era Josie, Showa era Josie from 50 years ago, and Makoto Nishimari are all the same person.
Then there really are people who don't age.
Based on what we know, that's my conclusion for now.
Do you want to ask Yayoi directly? She might be willing to actually tell us the truth.
I'll go and try again later on, but I'm not really sure if she will talk.
We could also try a different route.
What do you mean?
We'll contact the editor at Bungei Sekai and ask them to tell us about the person who submitted the story, Io. If the description matches Yayoi, then we'll have some certainty. What do you think, Akari?
It's a good plan, but that publisher's one of our rivals. I have their contact information, but...
I'll do it. I mean, I count as a writer, don't I? Tell me how to get in touch with them. I'd like to inquire about the person who submitted the account of a crime from 1972. From 1972. I feel like I've heard that date before.
Me too, actually.
What was it? 1972. Showa 47.
Then, the Scarlet Camellia reappeared in the lives of the Shijima family after the Great Kanto earthquake and the World War in 1972.
The Scarlet Camellia!
Of course. The Scarlet Camellia began committing murders again in 1972.
There has to be some connection to this story.
But why? What connection could there be?
You don't suppose the Scarlet Camellia was at the nightclub? Maybe seeing both Ryoi Shijima and Josie in person triggered the Scarlet Camellia.
If that's true, that means my father might have met this Scarlet Camellia.
Yes, and someone else, too. Yayoi might have met the Scarlet Camellia 50 years ago.
Excuse me, there's something I should tell you.
Sure. What is it?
It's about the skeleton under the tree. It was Mr. Shijima who uncovered it.
My father?
Yes, he dug under the cherry tree and out popped those old bones. I don't know why he was digging there, but
I see.
I didn't want to say anything and cause trouble, but then Mr. Shijima got poisoned, and that detective got murdered, and I got scared, thinking those bones might be cursed. I just thought you should know.
I see. Thank you, Takehiko.
Ryoi must have known there was a skeleton buried under the cherry tree, right?
I'm going to see my father. Maybe he'll regain consciousness. I'm also curious about the Tokijiku mentioned in this story.
I'll go with you. I'm worried about you going by yourself.
I'll go talk to Yayoi about this 50-year-old case.
Okay, but be careful.
About what?
This place is pretty big. When I was a kid, I got lost one time and ended up in this weird room.
I'll be fine. I'm just going to the storehouse.
All right, see you later.
I wonder, what did you bring me this time?
I brought this. Is the detective you killed the same person as Josie in this story?
If I said yes, you wouldn't believe me, would you?
Still being evasive, I see. Do you know about the Scarlet Camellia? I believe this Scarlet Camellia is connected somehow to today's incidents.
You think that this person killed the detective?
I don't know about that. Yayoi, will you tell me what you know?
If that's what you want. Here. These have been in this storehouse for a long time. You might find what you're looking for.
Could these be? They were Yoshino's handwritten manuscripts, the continuation of that story published in Shinsei Nen. It was 6 months after the murder at the private auction. In that time, I stayed close to Josie and continued investigating the stolen Tokichiku and the mysterious Scarlet Camellia. But I wasn't able to find any meaningful clues, and I grew more anxious with each passing day. That was when I received a letter from my uncle Azon.
Let's take a break.
I'm sorry.
Could you show me the letter again?
Yes.
Please allow me to attend this family event. Your father's life may be in danger.
He knew where we were, so he could have seen us in person instead of sending a letter.
He probably thought you'd just run away from him again. I hate to admit it, but your uncle's handwriting is exceptional. You can tell he had a good upbringing.
In his letter, my uncle called on me to take part in the family's succession, where the next head of the Shijimas would be chosen. The family succession. What does it involve? The letter also mentioned that my father, Ine Shijima, would be present. I was excited to see father again, but then I recalled the urgency in his voice when he ordered me to leave the house, and for a moment, I wondered if I'd made a mistake.
Take this and leave this place now.
Is someone after this Tokijiku?
This is my way of making amends, Yoshino. I'm sorry.
Did anything happen to him? Was my father all right?
The cold will get us if we stay in one place too long. Let's go.
If only we had some rice porridge. That'll warm us up a bit.
Rice porridge.
When I was younger, my father taught me how to make it, something my mother often made long ago, he said.
I see.
Actually, I don't know very much about my mother. I've missed her so badly. But my father never told me anything much about why she left us. My family's hiding something. I've always felt that way, ever since I was a child. Maybe it has something to do with the Tokijiku. Josie, you know something, don't you?
Let's go.
May we come in?
This way, please. Welcome. Miss Yoshino Shijima, I presume?
Yes, I'm Yoshino.
I beg your pardon. You're Yoshino Shijima. I am Misao Jinba, the innkeeper. And this is?
My companion.
Do you wish to share a room?
No, we'll take separate rooms if they're available.
That shouldn't be a problem. Now, if I could get your names here?
Looks like it was written with a fountain pen.
My uncle is already here, I guess.
It must have been cold outside. The winds from the mountains make it especially chilly around here.
Looks like it'll start snowing soon, too.
Oh, you'll find a charcoal brazier in every room. The baths are not far from your rooms. I'll be back again to show you later. The women's bath looks out onto the river, so you get a lovely view of the winter landscape.
Long time no see, Yoshino.
Where's my father?
Gane arrived yesterday, ahead of everyone.
exactly are you doing here, Tawako?
Azan said he'd be lonely without me. How many years has it been since his wife passed away, I wonder?
Tawako.
Don't mind me. You should really go and see your father.
Josie, please wait here.
This is all your fault. How will you take responsibility for this if it ruins the Shijima family?
There's no need for a successor. It all ends with me as it should. I can't burden Yoshino with this.
Have you forgotten what our mission is?
I don't need to hear any of this from you!
Stop fighting! Uncle! Father!
Yoshino, what are you...
It's been too long, Father.
So you decided to join us after all.
Why did you come back?
I invited her. She needs to be here for the water lantern ceremony.
I said it's not going to happen, you insolent...
That's not for you to decide!
Enough! Get out.
Remember what I said, Gene. You know what happens if you refuse to go through with it.
Azan, you've gone too far.
I'm sorry for coming back, Father.
And I'm sorry you had to see all that. You look well, better than I'd imagined.
You also look well, Father. More importantly... Why is it necessary for me to be at the lantern ceremony, Father?
Yoshino, I am very happy to see you. But you shouldn't be here.
Father, I've brought a companion, someone who has done a lot for me. Come in. Father, this is Josie Kusaka. This is my father. What's with you two?
Oh, nothing. Please excuse me. My daughter says you have been looking out for her. I hope she hasn't been too much trouble.
Not at all.
Yoshino. There's no need for you to be a prisoner to the Shijima name. Go out there and live the life you want. You said you wanted to be an author, right?
Yes.
Then don't stop until you become one. There will come a time when women are truly free to carve out their own paths. I'm sure of it.
Father.
Josui. As Yoshino's father, I realize this may come across as a selfish request. But please, do take good care of my daughter.
I will.
Josie, I can't thank you enough. I believe that made my father feel better. Josie? What's wrong?
Nothing. But there's something I must discuss with your father. Yoshino, go on ahead without me.
What is there to... Josie? Something Josie doesn't want me to hear?
You can't leave. I don't want to deal with all this.
What's the matter, Uncle?
An emergency patient.
On this day?
Well, thanks to Gene, there won't be a family event for me to miss.
And what should I do?
You've come all this way. You might as well stay the night.
What about the lantern ceremony?
Yes, go ahead with it. Saita, someday you'll be responsible for the Shijima family. Make sure everything goes smoothly. Could I have something to write with?
Of course. Here you go.
If anything happens, send word to this address. Well, I'll leave the rest to you.
Fine.
Excuse me.
A selfish ass. And poor Towako, you have to suffer too because of him. Anyway, I'm sure he's paying for the rooms, so please make the most of it.
I don't want to cause any trouble.
The lantern ceremony. Better start preparing for it, we'll be late.
It seems Saita knows how to lead the ceremony. Towako, I'm sorry for how my uncle acted.
You don't have it easy either, do you? Being summoned here out of the blue?
And I still haven't been told what the purpose of the lantern ceremony is.
It's not hard to imagine. We use fire to send off the dead.
Our ancestors, you mean?
Who knows? I'm not a member of the Shijima family.
I can't believe we're doing the lantern ceremony by ourselves. What's the point?
Well, we don't have a choice. My father told us to do it, so we have to.
Well, your father's in a tough spot too. I doubt your ancestors would be thrilled to have a runaway daughter and some outsider sending them off.
But that's enough, Ayame.
What? It's the truth, isn't it?
Excuse me. I'll be in my room.
It's because of those things you said.
Why are you taking her side? You men are all hopeless.
Let's send these off. Yoshino, you're not coming back, are you?
I'm very sorry. It's selfish of me, I know. But being the head of this family? No, that's too heavy a burden. And now that burden falls to you, doesn't it? I think that would be much better for the Shijima family.
My father would never choose me as the successor.
Why?
Because I'm his dear son.
What do you mean? It's an honor to be chosen as the successor, isn't it?
No, it's not that. It's not that at all. It's not something to be thankful for.
What?
I suppose it's time you learn the truth. The true nature of the Shijima family. And the true meaning of the lantern ceremony.
Our true nature?
You know that we've been receiving the Tokijiku from the Sakaki family for many generations, right?
Yes. And they were wiped out over 10 years ago by someone who wanted the Tokijiku.
The Sakakis were the stewards of an important ritual, you see. There was a single tree growing in their gardens. The fruit of this tree was known as the Tokijiku. Hundreds of years ago, the Shijimas began the research on ways to stop aging using the Tokijiku provided by the Sakaki family. The Shijima's goal was to make everyone ageless. So every 100 years, a family member was chosen to consume the Tokijiku and become the subject of that research. But the way these subjects were treated was... they were essentially... human sacrifices.
Human sacrifices?
They had to endure all manner of abuse. It's no wonder their spirits were soon broken. Then the Sakakis, who took pity on the test subjects, offered to send each one off to the afterlife after 100 years. This is the origin of the succession. In other words, the Shijima's cherry blossom ceremony and the Sakaki's water lantern ceremony.
Then that would mean... The cherry blossom ceremony ushers in a new, ageless test subject. You mean me?
You must have realized it on some level, surely. Gaine doesn't age. He's been alive for over 100 years. Today's lantern ceremony should have been a send-off. As you know, the Sakakis are no more, so now the Shijimas are in charge of both events. But Gaine refuses to go through with the succession. He means to end our traditions.
Father.
I could never say this to my father's face, but I also think the research needs to stop. And the Shijima family has done even more reprehensible things.
What else is there?
Why do you think the Sakakis were suddenly wiped out over 10 years ago? It was the Shijimas who attacked them. 14 years ago, the Shijima's entire store of Tokijiku was lost. So, they decided to take all of the Sakaki's Tokijiku by force and killed them. And their home was burned to the ground. The Tokijiku that you left with, the one that was stolen from you, was the last of that ill-gotten hoard.
The Shijimas burned down the Sakaki's home, and father? A human sacrifice who doesn't age? Is that why he told me to take the Tokijiku and run away? But even if I'm free, my father could never leave the Shijima family.
What are you going to do about this?
I said I was sorry, didn't I?
Sorry isn't enough. I can't do anything without them. You know that, right?
Yes, I do. But calm down, Ayame.
How do you expect me to be calm like this? What are you going to do about it?
I'll go look for them later, alright?
Later. Always later. That's what's wrong with you.
Yes, I know, I'm
something
sorry.
happen?
Are you
I
really
don't
sorry?
know.
Please,
When I heard
Ayame.
voices outside, I found
always
them.
like this?
Like this.
Come on,
What are
can't
you
you
going
just
to
forgive
do
me?
about it? You need to take responsibility.
My dear guests, is something the matter?
Sorry. I know it's late. This oaf bumped into me in the hallway and knocked my glasses off, and they fell out the window.
I already apologized. I didn't do it on purpose.
I know. In that case, go get them already. I can't see anything without my glasses.
You expect me to go looking for them in the middle of the night? It's pitch dark out there.
There are many places near the river where you might lose your footing. It would be best not to go walking down there at night.
I'll go find them first thing in the morning, all right?
Honestly, you're absolutely useless.
Very sorry.
It's okay.
Ayame really can't see anything without her glasses?
She probably can't find her way back to her room without them. I never should have married her. Oh, don't tell Ayame I said that. Oh, excuse me. Ayame!
Please rest well.
Maybe I should go talk to father. Father? Are you awake? Tomorrow it is, then.
Morning, Yoshino.
Good morning.
I smell of drink, do I? Sorry about that. After the lantern ceremony, the night manager and I had a few rounds in the dining hall. Before I knew it, it was morning.
I see.
Anyway, I'm going home. Certainly don't want this outsider to overstay her welcome.
Did something happen between her and Uncle Azon?
It's fine. Don't worry about it. I like accommodating Azon and his whims. The life of a flower is so short. Go find love while you're young, okay?
Life is short, huh? What about flowers that last forever? Josie. Good morning.
Morning.
How was your night? I had trouble falling asleep.
So did I.
You too?
Good morning, Miss Yoshino.
Is something wrong?
I went to wake Mr. Shijima this morning, as I usually do, but he still hasn't answered the door. He requested a wake-up call at 7 o'clock every morning. In fact, he was already awake when I went to his room yesterday.
Father!
No, wait. Gen-A!
What on earth? It's as if they were put here to keep people out. Father! Father!
We're coming in.
What's that sound? Father! 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 Father!
Huh. There's no one here. Seems the murderer escaped through this window. Just a moment too late. Inform the police. Quickly.
Yes, of course.
Father!
His kimono is in disarray. He tried to fight back. A long, thin wound. It looks like he was stabbed once with some type of blade. The body is already completely stiff. The murder must have taken place yesterday. During the lantern ceremony, or possibly before that.
My father was killed by the Scarlet Camellia. Tomorrow it is then. If I had just stayed with him.
This is my fault. It's not your fault. I'm truly sorry.
If my father was fated to meet his end here, perhaps fate brought me here as well.
Yoshino.
I'll do whatever I can do to find whoever killed my father. That's how I'll repay my father for having faith in me. And I will carve my own path.
I understand. We'll find the killer.
Thank you so much. This murder involves the Shijima family. Let me handle the investigation. What do you mean? Don't inform the police.
Well, I got in touch with your uncle earlier. He said he'll be back around noon, and the police must not be told anything until then.
Why?
Yoshino, my father booked the entire inn. We're the only guests here. Something goes wrong, and a Shijima could be named the prime suspect. You see the problem, don't you?
Not at all. What's important is that we find the killer as soon as possible.
Oh, I'm not suggesting we cover up anything. I'm just saying it's not too late to inform the police after we get our facts in order.
In that case... Whoever killed father, I will uncover the truth. You'll help me, won't you?
You? What can you do?
For a start, please tell me what you were doing this morning.
I was in my room. I was waiting for Saeta to come back from the riverbank.
I was at the riverbank all morning searching for Ayame's glasses. I found them downstream. They got caught on a piece of driftwood, thankfully.
No one has a solid alibi for this morning, around the time when someone escaped from my father's room. Toako was already gone, but she left the lantern ceremony early. Then she drank with the night manager in the dining hall until morning. The night manager confirmed that they were together all night.
We still don't know when Gene was murdered. Identifying the killer this way might be difficult.
Right now, our only clue is the rope tied to the railing outside that window. Let me investigate some more. The inn staff kindly moved my father's body. I'm sure he would have found this room too cold.
The killer murdered Gene yesterday at night, then returned to this room in the morning. So the question is...
what did they come back to the room for? That is the missing link, right?
Perhaps they realized some incriminating evidence had been left behind. Or are they searching for something else?
Something like...
There aren't any potential hiding places either.
why come back when it's light out, instead of under the cover of night? Something might be missing from this room. It won't turn on.
As I thought. The light bulb in this room was burned out. That's why the killer had no choice but to come back in the morning.
But as long as they had a light source, they could have searched in this room at night.
That's true. But it might have been something hard to find with just a flashlight or a lamp.
What could be worth the risk?
Has anything changed in this room since yesterday?
Oh. The ashtray is missing. My father was a smoker, so it's odd not to see one in this room.
The ashtray?
The killer got out through this window, using this rope. It looks like there's something tied to it.
Wait, don't pull it up. I'll go down to the riverbank and see.
Did you find anything?
Yes, there's a cast iron kettle tied to the end of the rope.
A kettle?
Yeah. You can pull it up now. I'll look around and see if there's anything else.
This is heavy.
Yoshino! Look, it's an ashtray! I'll bet it came from that room.
So that would mean the killer took it, but dropped it during the escape?
Mr. Eisan Shijima has arrived.
How on earth is Gene dead? Murdered at that! What are you gonna do about it?
It isn't our fault.
What's that?
Please calm down.
Who the hell are you?
Trust me, I won't. Let the killer get away with this. My father, Gene, was killed at an inn where a Shijima family ceremony was held. Sometime yesterday, someone stabbed him in the chest.
Early this morning, we heard the sound of someone escaping when we rushed into this room. The rope found hanging from the window must have been left behind by the killer.
Whoever killed father must still be in this inn. We can't let them escape, can we? I will do whatever it takes to uncover their scheme.
Let's think about what's happened so far. First, is there anything that caught your attention? Use your reasoning to find the culprit.
Got it. I will make them confess. Let's make sense of this. Here's what I thought at first. The killer murdered my father, Gene, last night. They were also looking for something in this room, but it was too dark because the light bulb was burnt out. So they tried again. When we came by to wait. This rope is fastened securely to the railing. You wouldn't think that it had been tied in a hurry. We can deduce that this was definitely not a spontaneous action by the killer.
Ah, so the killer had planned from the start to escape to the riverbank.
Which leads us to my next question. If the killer did, in fact, climb down this rope to the riverbank, that means there was something they didn't know. If they had known, they certainly would not have picked that escape route.
Something that would make them steer clear of the riverbank. Information that the killer didn't have?
Indeed. Something that was known to everyone, except the main suspect in this case. Namely, the fact that Saita planned to go search for Ayame's glasses at the riverbank this morning.
You mean the commotion last night?
Yes. Try to recall what happened.
Those who are present knew about Saita's plan to search the riverbank in the morning.
Yes, I know, I'm
Something
sorry.
happened? Go get them already. I can't.
No one in that group would choose the riverbank as an escape route.
That's a good point.
That leaves only one person. Who could possibly be the killer? The killer is... Uncle. You're the killer. You missed the commotion last night, meaning only you would think it was safe to flee to the riverbank.
I see. So I murdered Gene yesterday. Forgot something important and sneaked back in this morning. Then I appeared before all of you pretending to know nothing. How interesting. But I have an alibi. I was with a patient last night. Right up until Ayame contacted me this morning.
Yes, I am sure that is true.
In that case, I couldn't be the one who fled this room, am I right?
Uncle, you were... You didn't escape.
I'm glad you understand.
You only made it look as though you had escaped, using a simple trick.
A trick?
That rope, the cast iron kettle tied to the end of it, the vase, the Shigaraki Tanuki statue. You used all of these objects to trick us into thinking that the killer had escaped through the window.
All right, let's hear it. This kettle at the end of the rope. What do you make of it?
The kettle was used to pull the rope. You used a Tanuki statue to hold down the rope, with the kettle end of the rope outside the window. When someone opened the door and moved the statue, the rope would be pulled into this room, and the end tied to the kettle would drop down to the riverbank. This is exactly what happened when Josie opened the door this morning.
Even without you nearby, the trick would be set in motion automatically. And that's how you intended to evade suspicion.
You really do have quite the imagination. So, what about the vase? I have an interest in ceramics. Yes, but what does that prove?
As for the vase, you set up this vase because you wanted us to hear the sound of it falling over. By putting the rope around the vase, it would be pulled off balance and fall over. Hearing that sound, we would be convinced that the killer was inside this room.
Interesting theory. But that's all mere conjecture. Perhaps the killer actually used the rope to escape. That seems more plausible, no?
But then, I can't think of why the ashtray would end up at the riverbank.
What ashtray?
The one which was beside the window yesterday was found on the riverbank.
So what if it was?
Think about it. To make us think the killer had escaped from the window, you needed the tanuki, the rope, the kettle, and the vase. That's all you needed. The ashtray didn't serve any purpose. So the reason we found it at the riverbank was... You didn't intend for it to happen. By sheer chance, the ashtray must have caught on the rope as it slid out the window. And if you were at the riverbank, would you leave the ashtray there? What if your fingerprints were on it? Or what if my father had left something in it that might incriminate you? That seems possible, and you would probably come to the same conclusion. In short, you would definitely take the ashtray and run, but you didn't. Because you weren't there at all. Let me say it again. The killer is... You're the killer, Uncle. Aren't you? It's time for you to come clean.
Now, let's accept for the moment that the rope was a diversion that was left by the killer. In that case, that means it was put in place right after Gene was murdered. Which brings us back to the main question, who murdered Gene? So, do you have any evidence that points to me?
I do. But before I explain my reasoning, there's one thing I'd like to ask you, Uncle.
What is it?
I'd like to take another look at your entry in the inn's guest book. Here is the guest book which Misao has kindly shared with me. This is your writing, isn't it?
It is.
Looks like it was written with a fountain pen, doesn't it? The ink and the lines are clearly different from all the other entries. You wrote this with your personal fountain pen, Uncle.
It writes easily. I like it.
So why did you have to borrow a pencil from Misao? When you left to attend to an emergency patient, you borrowed a pencil from Misao, didn't you?
Well,
So, why?
Because...
Perhaps... Your fountain pen was out of ink, wasn't it? You kept it in your sleeve, perhaps, and it broke during your scuffle with my father. Isn't that so? And I'd wager you didn't notice the broken fountain pen at the time. Because if you had realized it, you certainly wouldn't have left such damning evidence at the scene of the crime.
Evidence? What evidence could there be? Out with it!
Father's bloodstains, all dried up and tinged with black. But this shade of black is more than just dried blood. It contains some of the ink from your fountain pen, you see. You got in a scuffle with my father, and the pen that was in your sleeve broke. The ink that leaked out got mixed with my father's blood. Am I right? Once we compare the composition of these stains and the ink in the guest book, the answer will be clear. This ink is the evidence that you are the killer. We solved the mystery. But one question still remained.
Well, who the hell are you?
That's my very insightful companion and fellow investigator. But more importantly, Uncle, Tell me why you killed my father. Answer me.
Saita told you the true purpose of the succession, I presume. This is Gene's last year, and you were next in line to become ageless, Yoshino. But Gene not only let you escape, he even gave you our last Tokijiku, the only one left in existence. Gene vehemently opposed the Shijima family's research. He let his successor run away with the Tokijiku in an attempt to end the tradition once and for all.
And that's why you murdered him? How could you? How could you, Uncle Asa? I'll never forgive you. You didn't have to kill him!
Silence! So what if one tired shell of a man dies? Let go of me! Don't touch me!
Is that a camellia?
So you're a Scarlet Camellia after all.
Why are you meddling in our affairs? Have we met before?
My name is Josui Sakaki.
Sakaki?
Kusaka's a false name. Don't tell me you've forgotten the name Sakaki. So it was you who left. A red camellia on the wreckage of my family home.
I see. So there was a survivor. That explains why we only found one Tokijiku in the whole estate. You'd taken them all and fled, hadn't you?
You took away my father, my mother, my child. I will never forgive you for killing my family!
You really think you're stronger than me?
Josui! Are you alright?
So Eisan Shijima's a Scarlet Camellia. I will make him pay for his crimes no matter what it takes. I'm sorry. You got dragged into this again, Yoshino.
What are you saying? I wanted this. This is just the beginning.
But we should not be together anymore. Just forget about me. Go out there and live the life you want. Otherwise, Gene won't be able to rest in peace.
Josui! Soon the snow began to fall, stealing away the last remnants of warmth. Left behind, alone in the dead of night, I silently watched the world around me fade to white.